Alright, so first video, we had a great idea on a friend's Twitch stream, play all the dumbest decks possible, top 100, and you know what, had about a 60% win rate, so I reckon it worked out pretty well. First game we got this delightful, absolutely delightful little MK Giant Skeleton Rocket Pekka deck. I mean, wow, so much synergy, and against a bit of a moron. Giant double prince, you know, the brain cells are lacking, let's be honest. Like, what is that? All in, basically, first play. He didn't know about the rocket, though. So we've got a beautiful bit of Giant Skeleton. Here we go in with the Infinity. Unfortunately, it's got an E-Drag. It's just a bit ridiculous at this point. But, you know, no complaints, right? So I think we got a bit of a licks up. He goes in here, and that's just, it's basically a suicide mission. I don't know why anyone would go in like that. It's like he expects to lose. So got a good counter push, knowing that he doesn't have much elixir. He's played his ground troop. He's going to have to go the Mega Minion or the Zap, all in at bridge. He can't do much about it. Beautiful counter push, beautiful damage. I mean, that is divine. That is just, look at that, bam. Most of the tower gone, finished. Yeah, he'll go in again with the Miner. I just find that very odd, because he doesn't have Zap. He's just giving me a free massive counter push. He's down a lot. He's not going to be able to defend this properly. It just seems very odd. But to be fair, Giant Double Prince, I feel like we can't expect much, you know? And like, yeah. He's gone with the Dark Prince. He's gone also with the Fireball. So, I mean, he's down a lot of elixir. Again, Infinity putting it in rocket range. I mean, this is sublime. 4.9 is clearly, you know, it's got the synergies. It's got that beautiful Pekka. We've got actually quite a few decent counters to the Giant pushes. And here we'll go Giant Mega Minion Bridge again. And like, at this point, we just need to not lose the tower, so I can just play Giant Skeleton to block, Bandit for DPS, knowing it will go back when he plays the Miner. Beautiful bit of Infinity, which we don't even need because of the Giant Skeleton bomb. We can just go for an MK. Then again, we have the massive counter push. He can't defend the left, he can't defend the right. And I mean, it's just embarrassing. Terrible player. Beautiful win. And that's like, what, top 70 or so? Which surprises me as much as you guys, because that, you know, Giant Double Prince was just bad. But yeah, nice win to start it off. Good stuff. And then on to the next one. This, you know, this game, it was very tight. I have to say, we play well, so I thought we'd put it in there anyways. Against a nice little graveyard freeze mortar deck. I feel like the opponent's just got a deck with a lot of very strong cards. I don't really feel the synergy, it's just a lot of cards that are good in one deck. But it's like, we can't really kill the Infinity, having to defend it with a mirrored Prince, which seems quite stupid. But to be honest, knowing he doesn't have Infinity, we can just do the classic EGW MK the bridge, as always. And this is just beautiful. He's got nothing else in hand, he has to go for the King activation. Beautiful prediction. I mean, that is sublime. That is so sublime. To be honest, if I was him, maybe I would have defended the MK a bit, because that's a lot of damage. But that was just a beautiful prediction. And he goes in, I mean, because of the deck, I can't defend so well. But it seems like quite an odd time to go in, just random 9 at the bridge. So we can go in with a Prince. Barbs, again, good counter. Tough stuff. The mirrored Prince, clutching up as always. Here, maybe that was an error with the Scobo. Had we gone in on the right, he would have had to defend both lanes, might have been tough. But we take the tower either way. He tries to kite with the bomber, but would have died anyway, so a bit useless. So we go in with the Pekka. We got the MK as well. Decent bit of counter push. Prince in there. Keep trying to pressure, trying to sort of pinpoint those disadvantages that he has. Sometimes, a bit like us, he's got quite an awkward cycle. And he'll go in with some barbs on the mirrored Prince, fair enough. So maybe that Pekka was a mistake. You can get a lot of value with a Mighty Miner freeze. And that's, I feel like it should have died. But you know, basically takes all our tower. That's okay though. That's okay. So we'll defend the mortar quite nicely. Bit of a pricey defense, but couldn't have done much else. And now the Scobo, we know he's got arrows, so we go for the mirror and the freeze predict. But then, unfortunately, we didn't get that bomber predict. GG's. Tough game, but we tried. And so the next one... Okay, we're in a game against Wallace. At this point, the deck has got even worse. We've got a bit of MK Prince Pekka, the classic, double dragon in there, and the Goblin Barrel, because we had a great logbait player in a Twitch chat, and we thought we have to represent the logbait community by thrusting a barrel into this deck. And so at this point, you know, neither of us know the other's deck, so we're just sort of waiting. Especially, cheapest troop we've got is 5. It's kind of risky to just play that at the back, knowing that Wallace also plays a lot of graveyards, so just like Tombstone on defense, and then we just lose. So we're all waiting. We're quite bored, but you know, he does something which is nice of him, and therefore we go on with the Prince. And okay, he Tombstone. So at this point, we know it's graveyard, especially when he goes for the Mega Minion as well. And so it's pretty safe to Pekka or MK the back, because if he goes in, which he probably should have done, I might have had a defensive Goblin Barrel, but then I would have had a counter push. And if he defends, I mean, he can probably defend quite cleanly, but then I've still got, you know, he has to take out the Pekka. We've got the MK in hand as well. Goblin Barrel if we need to use it. So then, nice zap, I think, yeah, nice zap. Take out the skeletons. Cannon Cart dies, maybe gets a hit on that Skelly King also. And so at this point, he's definitely going to go in, at least with the ability, maybe with the graveyard as well. So the classic, always MK the bridge. It is just the best play. In almost every situation, it's better than doing an MK at the back. This, I mean, massive counter push. Had he defended a bit better, maybe with a Cannon Cart rather than a Poison later, it might have been able to defend. But nice predict on the Mega Minion with the Inferno Dragon. At this point, we know he's going to Barbara to try and kite the Inferno Dragon, what's going to do a lot of damage. And he has absolutely no elixir and no counters with the Goblin Barrel. And that's just, we just win. I mean, you know what, with bad decks, you can do some good plays like that and still pull it off. We hit him with a wow, because we're quite surprised that actually worked. And then at this point, we know it's, what, 2 fireballs, so we're just waiting, hoping he goes for Tombstone. Beautiful, perfect fireball value. We take out that Zap as well, so he's got to defend the Prince still. Then we go on a Baby Dragon on the left bridge, take out the Skellies. And at this point, we're in a pretty good spot. We're pretty confident. I mean, sure, he can Zap the bridge. And he'll take that Barb Barrel as well. Nice Barb Barrel. But I think we still win. So, you know, we can just defend. That's the thing. A lot of times it's basically just... You're just playing to defend until you can get one spell cycle off. Like, yeah, he goes in because he kind of has to. It's sort of a desperation attack. Nice zap. We know that if we just block stuff, zap, the graveyard's never going to do 2000. Goblin Barrel the middle because we're quite toxic, and also just holds off the units and bam, finished. That's just divine. I mean, you know, one of the best players beat with MK Pekka Goblin Barrel. Can't complain. And then, okay, here we have a game against Pedro. Great multiplayer. Well, I say great. Good multiplayer. Always on top ladder, you know, so we kind of know what sort of deck he'll be playing. Minor Fire Spirit first play, it's quite annoying, and that Pekka was, I'm not sure, I feel like it was a bad Pekka, but also the Fire Spirit just shouldn't have splashed. That feels quite rigged. And so we know he's going to defend with Archer Queen, probably with Valk as well, or something. So at this point we can just go in with that Mirror Fireball, because I just can't be bothered to defend an Archer Queen, you know. Like, no one wants to just spend a load waiting for it to not die and then pop an ability and just kill my tower. And so Pekka's always going to get value in this matchup. He's got to spend a lot of small troops plus at least a Valk Queen or Minor. So basically every time you're playing a Pekka, you know he's going to have to defend a certain way, and then can pressure opposite lane, but that Duodenum pressure, and sort of try to punish, because at some point, sure, he can play all the cycle cards, all the Valks, but he won't have enough damage doing troops and enough DPS to just kill all the big stuff. So that's sort of what we're hoping for. If we can just defend okay, till double, maybe triple, and at some point, we can play units to the point at which he just cannot kill them, however much elixir he plays into them, pretty much. And so at this point, the queen coming to Giant Skeleton Bomb always nice. We picked the bridge, probably wasn't, it was a good Pekka, but the timing wasn't great, because that takes out the queen. Yeah, he has the fireball again, he has the Valk as well, he's probably going to have the Skellies also. I mean, like, he keeps playing all his small troops, and we know that he has to do that, because he doesn't have the DPS. There's no Inferno Dragon, no Mini Pekka, and so nice skeletons, fair enough, and good log also. And so, you know, it was a good defense. But I think, like, at this point, we're up a little. We know we can just keep defending when the Giant Skeletons. We can just keep playing it safe, and eventually we will win. And so, yeah, nice fast Giant Skeleton. Inferno Dragon the bridge also, take out the mortar. Then we have the counter push. Beautiful. And at some point, I think the only way we're going to win, because if we keep playing into him, we're not going to lose. But he will probably outship us. So it's about the dual lane pressure, the duodenums, you know. Got to... now this, turning point. He goes a little over-aggressive with the Fire Spirit also. And sure, we take Splash, but we do that on purpose, knowing that the counter push is going to be devastating. And because he keeps defending this mortar. Another 4 with the Fireball, and another 2 with the log, another 1 with the Skellies. He just keeps playing with that mortar, and it's not getting that much damage. So we can go for the Mirror Giant Skelly. I mean, we've already got 13 on the board, it's looking quite juicy. Infinity also. And the thing with Giant Skellies, it gets dangerous because they're sort of pushing each other because they have quite a high mass statistic. The mass is quite massive, you know. And so, yeah. And then again, we see he keeps playing all the small troops to kite it. He has to do another fireball and he's down like 6. So we can Giant Skelly the bridge because we know we're applying pressure. We're taking the Valk out of hand. He hasn't got enough to go in the mortar. And then, at this point, we could Giant Skelly, we could Pekka. I feel like Giant Skelly, because of the bomb, there's a bit more danger, whereas Pekka's quite slow, and so it's not going to do all that much. And so here, we go for the opposite lane, because we finally found a good opportunity where the Inferno Dragon Pekka, normally it will be the MK, but in this case the Pekka, it will be quite efficient. And he has to go with the Valk. That Giant Skelly's gone on the Queen, a nice High Hunter, take out the Valk, and then we've also got a lot of counter push with the Scoba, with the Inferno Dragon. This was quite unfortunate because he played a mortar, so that Scoba also dies. He kind of misses the Fireball though, and so when we got the Skelly, it's got a bit of infinity damage. 1 extra Skelly allowed for a lot of damage. We're kind of back in the game from that. Tried to go for a log to confuse me by playing the miner at the back, but we know better. We know much better. So we go in for the dual lane again, and at this point, when triple, we can do so much. I mean, yeah, we've got the Scobo, we've got the Hunter to predict the Skelly, is beautiful, and now at this point, because of the left, we've got the Giant Skelly with the Queen going into it, we can go in, we've got the Pekka, Giant Skelly, Mirror, Inferno Dragon push, and he just can't defend it. He hasn't got the Fireball, hasn't got the Queen in hand. That's tower, beautiful. And then, the final game, I mean, yeah, against the guy that tends to play quite weird, like Minion Horde deck on ladder, with Balloon and stuff. But this time he wasn't doing that. So we had a quite nice, cheeky Recruits MK Giant E-Barbs deck going on. So we went for Recruits first play, which is quite dumb. Don't do that. That's advice. Don't do that. It's not a good play. But we did it anyway, because we're smart individuals, and we know better than advice. So we go for the Miner and the Cannon. So we just want to keep the Recruits alive, because their total DPS, you know, it's not low. And we know if we're playing a Cycle deck, like he's going to have Queen or Musk or something, and so he has to play quite a decent amount to take the Recruits out. And so we split the E-Bars because we want 1 to take out the Giant Skelly, and we might even go in on the left with Giant as well, nice. And sure, Skelly's in the middle, goes for the Queen as well, maybe a Cannon. And so, like, you know, the idea is, we're again, because we're playing quite a pricey deck, probably like 4.4, we're just waiting to not lose in single, not get a massive hog connection, and then we might be able to do something in double, potentially a maneuver with the Skelly Drags, because he's only got the Queen and Fire Spirit on air defense, unless he does like Giant Skelly, but wouldn't be the best. So at this point, yeah, we're using the Skelly Drags. He can't actually kill them, because he can Fire Spirit Giant Skeleton, maybe Skellies as well, but only the Queen can really kill the Skelly Drags, right? So that's sort of the key troop in this. That was actually quite a bad miner, because they kind of pulled the Giant Skeleton into the way of the Skelly Drags. At this point, good hog. We just have no elixir, so we can't do much. But quite late E-bobs, because we know without the skellies in hand, he has to spend at least sort of Queen, Fire Spirit, Log to defend them, and so it ends up being quite pricey. And then, yeah, Fire Spirit's dead, Queen pretty much dead too. Just like a zap plus 1 tower hit should take it out. And then we're up quite a lot of elixir, because we know we punish with the E-bars when he doesn't have skellies, we're going to make a profit. And it feels like, these supernormal profits are really aiding our defenses and offenses. So you go with the recruits at the back, goes for an EQ, because, it's not doing that much tower damage, so it's pretty safe to just keep doing these big pushes until eventually we break through. Again with the Skelly Drag, trying to punish. Queen just being broken as usual, kills the Skelly Drags, that's fine, we got a bit of recruits on the right as well. So now we punish with the E-bobs, I guess recruits on tower, E-bobs go to Giant Skelly, so I guess that was quite good. Fire Spirit Kite. And then it goes with the Hog. I think that was not the best Hog, because then we have the counter push with the MK. But I guess if he just doesn't want to take the damage, works out. At this point, going with the MK Giant Skelly Drags push, quite a signature, classic top ladder attack. And then he hasn't got the Skellies for minor. He can Fire Spirit, maybe Queen as well. But it's, a bit of minor chip. I'm also forcing the Queen on our strong lane. And that's quite key, because then we know we can go for the recruits at the back. And he's not going to attack into our weak lane. So he's just going to keep earthquaking. Won't do that much damage. We can get these big pushes. And eventually, MK at the back, it's not a player like. But in this sort of game, when we're trying to build like a beat-down push and just overpower, it works out. So we can go with the Giant maybe as well. Maybe the Skelly Drags. Again, in the middle, take out the Skeletons, nice. And he has to do the same thing, Fire Spirit, cycle to a Queen until we can actually kill them. And, now the cannon. So at this point, we just keep setting up these massive pushes. And it feels like he's kind of making a loss every time. So here we're going for the 4-2 recruit split into our strong tower lane, because we know that we can attack with some other stuff. And then, therefore, we've got a nice fat push. And at this point, he's gone for the Giant Skelly, he's gone for the cannon, we've got E-bars, we've got MK, we've got recruits, and then we know that he can't kill the Skelly Drags, and that's his big mistake. He queens the wrong lane, he cannot kill the Skelly Drags, they're on tower, we've got a miner protecting them, the Queen's on that recruit, and then it's gone. Finish, that's the game. He just can't kill them, and that is how you win with recruits, MK, Giant, E-bobs. Just nice, easy stuff. So anyways, some fun games. It's quite a good challenge playing random decks top 100. We ended up gaining trophies, winning, finished 77th from it, 7.8k, beautiful. Anyways, that's all for this one. Next video, maybe top ladder, and actually good deck, and we'll see. Have a good one.